The member from Meeker, Representative Erdahl, to introduce your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. First, I'd like to thank numerous people who took part in putting this bill together. Senator Cohen, the staff, particularly all of our good staff that worked so hard on this, nonpartisan staff, Mary Mullen, Janelle Taylor, John Walls, Brad Hagemeyer, partisan Republican staff, Gavin Hansen, Abby Loesch, Leah Patton, and DFL staff Nancy Conley. Certainly want to thank Representative Torkelson, Representative McNamara for the work that they've done in portions of this bill, and Representative Kahn and Representative Mary Murphy as well. Now, to the bill itself, this is the same bill that passed 123 to 11 on May 17th, and basically, however, was loved to death because we didn't get it to the Senate in time for it to be passed. And so, I believe Representative Carlson asked that we do a little bit of a review, so I thought I would read through the bill so that you were all very well informed. No, I guess not. So, here it is, guys. $540 million from the 4 dedicated funds. It passed, as I said, 123 to 11. It's a good bill. It's the same bill you all mostly voted for earlier. So let's vote for it again. Thank you.
The member from St. Louis, Representative Metzen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, Representative Erdahl, I just wanted to let you know I was mad last time and I voted red on your bill because we weren't going to get the bonding done for Highway 53. It looks like today's pace is moving a little quicker and we'll get through the work we need to, and I would urge for a green vote on this one.
The member from Dakota, Representative Hansen.
Well, Mr. Speaker and Representative Erdahl, mine's a little different. And I was one of the 11 that voted no, and I will be so again today. And the reason is that there's a piece in this bill, actually one thing that's in the bill and one thing that's not in the bill. One thing that's in the bill, members, and I think it's important, is on the buffers funding, where at the last minute the decision was made to take money from the Board of Water and Soil Resources that would go to projects and provide that for general administration. And members, I believe that that is not constitutional. I don't think taking $11 million a year for general administration to be distributed to each of the soil and water districts for paper and pencils is providing the constitutional requirement that is there. Now, there's all kinds of good stuff in this bill, but that is an unconstitutional provision. It doesn't meet the protect, restore, and enhance lakes, rivers, and streams or groundwater quality that's in the Constitution. Now, since the Legacy Amendment was passed in 2008, we've had all kinds of groups and people that have come to the legislature and say, follow this, follow that, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. But they've been quite silent, both in the last days of the session and certainly since the session. Now, Governor Dayton, we've praised earlier for getting money for K-12 education. And he tried to restore the funding for the White Earth Band, who had applied for an acquisition that met the constitutional requirements but was removed by this legislature. And we didn't hear a peep from the same folks who had previously said we couldn't change the recommendations of the council. We heard even this year that we couldn't change the recommendations from the Clean Water Council. Now apparently we can do both. So there's one thing that's not in the bill that I think sets a terrible precedent, because we seem to have some difficulty as a legislature when Native Americans apply for these funds. We had it when we were in the majority and folks voted against it, and now the majority, the GOP majority, has removed that provision. The Clean Water Fund, $11 million a year, actually going from water quality projects to general administration, is not right and not constitutional. So I will be voting no. Oh, I do have one question for Representative Erdahl.
He will yield. Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Representative Erdahl, is it correct in here that that the legislature in this bill is canceling phosphorus water quality or wastewater treatment grants that were previously provided but no one applied for? Is that correct, that we are canceling Clean Water Legacy dollars for phosphorus wastewater treatment?
Representative Erdahl.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and Representative Hansen, in brief consultation with Representative Torkelson, who worked on that portion of the bill, yes, apparently that is true.
Thank you.
Representative Hansen. Any further discussion on the bill? Representative Erdahl.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and appreciate support on this bill. Just briefly, some questions raised by Representative Hansen. The White Earth provision, the money is still there. At a future time, that could be included. Regarding changes, there's never been a provision that we can't make changes. We certainly have legislative discretion to make changes, and we always should have. I do not recommend making wholesale changes to Lessard Sams or Clean Water Council, but we have to maintain the right to do that if we choose in the future. And regarding Native Americans specifically, in this bill, there is $3.25 million for language immersion and osteology. So I urge all of you, please, to support this. It's a good bill. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on final passage of Senate File 1.
Albright. Albright votes aye. Allen. Allen votes aye. Anderson M. Excused. Anderson P. Anderson P. votes aye. Anderson S. Excused. Anzels. Anzels votes aye. Applebaum excused. Atkins. Atkins votes aye. Backer. Backer votes aye. Baker. Baker votes aye. Barrett. Barrett votes aye. Bennett. Bennett votes aye. Bernardi. Bernardi votes aye. Bly. Bly votes aye. Carlson. Carlson votes aye. Christensen. Christensen votes aye. Clark. 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 Considine. Considine votes aye. Cornish. Cornish votes aye. Daniels. Daniels votes aye. Davids. Davids votes aye. Davney. Davney votes no. Dean M. Dean M. votes aye. Dean R. Excused. Detmer. Detmer votes aye. Dill. 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 Drazkowski excused. Earhart. Earhart votes aye. Erickson. Erickson votes aye. Fabian. Fabian votes aye. Fenton. Fenton votes aye. Fisher. 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 Franson. Franson votes aye. Freiberg. Freiberg votes aye. Garofalo. 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 Green. Green votes aye. Grunhagen. Grunhagen votes aye. Gunther. Gunther votes aye. Hackbarth. Hackbarth votes aye. Halverson excused. Hamilton. Hamilton votes aye. Hancock. Hancock votes aye. Hansen. Hansen votes no. Hausman. Hausman votes aye. Heinzeman. Heinzeman votes aye. Hertos. Hertas, pass. Hillstrom. Hillstrom votes aye. Hoppy. 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 Hornstein. Hornstein votes aye. Hortman excused. Howe. 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 Isaacson. 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 Johnson B. Johnson B votes aye. Johnson C. Johnson C votes aye. Johnson S. Johnson S votes aye. Kahn. Kahn votes aye. Kelly. Kelly votes aye. Keel. Keel votes aye. Knobloch. Knobloch votes aye. Kosnick. Kosnick votes aye. Kreshaw. Kreshaw votes aye. Lane. Lane votes aye. Lincheski. Lincheski pass? Yes. Lincheski votes aye. Lesh. Lesh votes no. Liebling. Liebling votes aye. Lean. Lean votes aye. Lilly. 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 Loeffler. Loeffler votes aye. Lomer. Lomer votes aye. Loon. Loon votes aye. Lunan. Lunan votes aye. Lucero. Lucero votes aye. Lewick. Lewick votes aye. Mack excused. Mahoney. Mahoney votes aye. Mariani. 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 Marquardt. Marquardt votes aye. Mason. Mason votes aye. McDonald. McDonald votes aye. McNamara. McNamara votes aye. Moline. Moline votes aye. Metza. Metza votes aye. Miller. Miller votes aye. Moran. Moran votes aye. Mullery. Mullery votes aye. Murphy E. Murphy E votes aye. Murphy M. Murphy M votes aye. Nash. Nash votes aye. Nelson. Nelson votes aye. Newberger. Newberger votes aye. Newton. Newton aye. Nornis. Nornis aye. Norton. Norton aye. O'Driscoll. O'Driscoll aye. O'Neill. O'Neill aye. Pulowski. Pulowski aye. Pepin. Pepin aye. Purcell. Purcell aye. Petersburg. Petersburg aye. Peterson. Peterson aye. Pearson. Pearson aye. Pinto. Pinto aye. Poppy. Poppy aye. Pugh. Pugh aye. Quam. Quam pass. Rarick. Rarick aye. Rosenthal. Rosenthal aye. Runbeck. Runbeck aye. Sanders. Sanders aye. Schoen. Schoen aye. Schumacher. Schumacher aye. Schultz. Schultz aye. Scott. Scott. Scott aye. Seltzer. Seltzer aye. Simonson. Simonson aye. Slocum. Slocum aye. Smith. Smith aye. Sundin excused. Swazinski. Swazinski aye. Tice. Tice aye. Thiessen. Thiessen no. Torkelson. Torkelson aye. Uglum. Uglum aye. Erdahl. Erdahl aye. Vogel. Vogel aye. Wagenius. Wagenius no. Ward. Ward no. Whalen. Whalen aye. Wills. Wills aye. Winkler. Winkler aye. Yaruso. Yaruso aye. Joachim. Joachim aye. Zerwas. Zerwas aye. Speaker Doubt. Speaker Doubt aye. Clark. Clark aye. Dill. Dill aye. Fisher. Fisher aye. Garofalo. Garofalo aye. Hertas. Hertas aye. Hoppy. Hoppy aye. Howe. Howe aye. Isaacson. Isaacson aye. Lilly. 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 Mariani. 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 Quam. Quam pass.
I declare the roll call is closed, and the clerks will tally the votes.
I told Matt Boston we should not spend any money together.
I voted for the tax bill and against the lease.
Where my priorities are.
So what was the real story on it? There's like 7 rumors going around.
They're all true.
Way to go, Paul. I think I know the real story.
I'm sure you do.
Basically, it wasn't your fault, right?
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
I mean,
I can see the hit pieces on you.
Yeah, that would actually be the one. We don't have the ability to do that, do we?
Take my stuff.
You know what?
the Senate.
They still up on it. We don't have the environmental yet.
Are they not back here?
I don't know. That's not my concern.
Looks like they get it.
Now what do we do? What do we do now?
Mike. They want.
Still got the leg or not?
I really never got. Yeah. I, stayed up when I got there, and then we stayed up the regular time when I got here.
You didn't sleep when you flew over there?
I slept on the way. I slept flying up. But then once we got there, I just stayed up till regular time. Yeah, it was fine. You don't want to take out the money.
He's the revisor.
That's the reason I protest. Can't pay him not to make it.
All right. Okay, so that's fine. Yes, thank you. No, yeah, that's great. Oh.
There being 116 ayes and 6 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to.